Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania and we have another job for you to set up. So in this one, our homeowner is having some water issues in their garage, so we're hoping to bust out some old concrete, install some drains, and get this poured out for them. We'll see you at the job site. Okay, we just got to the job site, so we have a little bit of demo here, a few stairs to build, but we'll get the machine here unloaded and then we'll do a quick little job walk around and see what we have going on. Okay, so got the machine unloaded. We kind of have two small jobs going on at the same time here. So we have inside the garage down here, and originally why we were called out was these steps over here. So we had a set of wooden steps. I think there were 4 of them or so here, about 8 feet wide. So we're gonna be replacing those with concrete. So my dad's up here, just got those ripped out, starting to form up, kind of clean all this junk out. So you can kind of see where the old steps were from the paint lines. So the new ones will have 12-inch landings, and we'll bring them all the way out flush with this set of cinder blocks here. So he's going to be setting that up, and I will be down here in the garage. So this is kind of the real issue here with the water. I don't know if you can see on camera, but this asphalt driveway has a ton of slope all the way down. So you probably have a 30 by 30 pad here that all slopes to the garage. So the homeowner actually busted out all this concrete himself because of water issues, and it was deteriorating the concrete. So our job here is add French drain along this wall here for him. Across the front, he had an old sump pump here, so we're hoping to get rid of that once we get this French drain in. We'll go through the door here under the concrete and tie in. And then we actually have these 18 feet of these industrial grade drains. So these are way more heavy duty and nicer than what you're gonna get at your big box stores. So no water should get past these. So they'll be 18 feet. So this being 24 feet wide will basically cover the entire width of this driveway. And of course this new pad we're busting out will actually trough into the drain. And then the exit here for our drains will tie into the French drains coming through the door. We'll end up having to cut a new path with the asphalt most likely, because we need to evaluate where these drains go, of course. And like most likely it's just that black corrugated pipe, which is just not gonna do. So we'll cut a new path in the asphalt and we will bail it over the hill right where they are. So should be a fun one. I am gonna get on these saw cuts, make some noise, make some dust, and I'll catch up with you after that. Whew, fun stuff, right? Yeah, saw cutting, least favorite part of demo. So let's let this clear out a little bit. See what we have here. So you said basically just cut about a 7-inch wide trench here. Try and get that busted out so we can get our French drain in and installed. And I think I forgot to mention, but we're gonna actually saw cut this whole edge along here, give us a nice straight slab to work off of. So that'll make it look a lot nicer. But let's take a little break from saw cutting here and do some jackhammering. Okay, so might have been hard to see in the time lapse, but this is a really good example when I was busting this out of what a poor, like a weaker mix, no reinforcement and hypersaturation can really do to the concrete. So you saw when I was busting this out, it actually, it's almost like it didn't bond together, and it creates like this separation of the sand and the cement and probably fly ash from whenever this concrete was poured. A lot of the companies use fly ash around here, and it basically just breaks up almost like a hard peanut brittle or something like that, where these big chunks are what you want, stuff like this. But when you get this hypersaturation, it just seems to deteriorate almost into nothing. So yeah, definitely needed some improvements here and lessons learned. So moving on. So we go 31 here. You have a pencil on you? Thank you. The 31. I think I'm good there. If you want, you go and snap? Yep, go ahead. Perfect. All right, just try and go perpendicular off that one we just made. Works for me. So we're gonna get these lines cut, bust it out, and that way we can have a nice, decent edge to work off of. Okay, well, I am so excited to be done saw cutting inside that garage. And of course, we could put a hose on our saw, cut the dust down, but of course ours is not long enough to reach the outside spigot here, so just gotta deal with some dust right now. But you're probably asking yourself, well, Sean, you're up against block and you have a 10-inch blade on that saw. How do you get a nice smooth cut all the way to the wall? Because once the saw hits the wall, you know you can't get a decent cut, so you just bust it out and hope that the crack follows a good path. Well, here's your tip of the day. You get your 4-inch angle grinder and a 3.5-inch masonry bit, and then when you have this situation, all you concrete guys who do garages and stuff and saw cut afterwards, the saw can only cut roughly 3 inches, 4 inches from the edge there. So even though it's not the same width, you can still cut and get another 2 inches or so on that. And then you only have about 1 inch up against the wall. And obviously, you know, there's really no way that I know of to get all the way up against the wall without some kind of oscillating blade. But at least this gets you that a little bit extra, and it's those small details that really count. So let's get this cut and then we'll start busting this out. So there you go. So that's what it's leaves you with, is just maybe 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch. So that always looks a lot nicer than trying to just get it up against the wall or hoping that it cracks there. So let's get the other side and then we'll be ready to bust this out. Okay, well, that's a wrap. Actually, that went pretty smoothly for what it was. So, of course, this concrete, it differs in elevation or thickness everywhere throughout. And so, of course, some spots, it's a new pour over an old pour, and some spots are 6 inches thick, some spots are 2 inches thick. But this is classic for pretty much half the jobs we bust out from, 10, 15 years ago. It seems like they always start with 6 inches thick and then just go cheaper and cheaper and until the thickness goes out. But so this is the importance of having a nice, good saw cut line. So as you can see, it just split perfectly. Leaves us with a really nice straight line to work off of when we finish. Looks a lot nicer, and of course we have a more consistent thickness at that point then too. But I mean, if we move this piece here, so we have maybe 2.5 inch thick concrete here. And we have what seems like an old floor, which was 2.5 inches thick. So yeah, I mean, you never know what you're gonna find. So based on our elevation though, probably gonna end up busting out this lip here, because really it's only under this half. The rest of it busted out over there, and then a little bit more on this side. So we'll get that. We'll get our 4 inches thick and see what we can do. Well, I think we're gonna get that busted out here, and then we'll switch over, do some saw cuts on this old concrete here, try and get it out. That's our drain situation, so let's get to it. Okay, well, that's busted out. Got a nice even base now, so we'll just have to grade that, of course, and get all this big stuff out of here. But of course, that's just some work too. But finally have some fun stuff. So I'm gonna get this pad ripped out of here. See if we can break it up a little bit, slide it out from underneath that siding there. But it's already broken up pretty good, so hopefully we can get this out of here and 3 or 4 big chunks and load it up onto the dump truck. So let's get that going here. Okay, well, at least we have some movement now. See, it's creeping up just a fraction of an inch whenever I'm pulling on it, so that's good news. Success! Woo! Wow. That is some thick concrete there. That's got to be 10 inches thick or so with wire. So hopefully now that that piece is out, it will be a little bit more room for these pieces to kind of shift around like that. But man, that thing was in there good. All right, well, let's get this ripped out and get some lunch. Okay, so got that all busted out. Just a couple minutes with the jackhammer, so no big deal. But while I'm taking a break, wait for my dad to get back so we can get some piping. Go see how he did on these steps. So you guys can critique him. Let him know in the comments how it looks. So we have 4 steps, 12-inch landing, 6.5-inch riser, and of course on this side, put them in with tack cons into the block. On this side, we just have piece of plywood with some pins, and of course we'll reinforce this with some kickers going up, and we'll actually throw in some 2x12s that go the whole length, and we'll put some pins in the grass back there. So that'll tie these things together great. And you can even see this little layout on the side there. So that's basically what the steps will be. 1/2 inch fall from the back of the step to the front of the step, just to keep water shedding. And I think when I came up here the one time, he had about just touching the line on the left, so there's a little bit of fall to the right too. So these will be nice, much better than the old rotten steps he had there. So he's just coming back with a couple cinder blocks. So don't ever pour these solid with 3 yards of concrete or whatever it would take in here. It just makes them way too heavy for no reason. And we've torn out so many set of steps that whenever they're poured solid, they end up settling a little bit in the back, 1/4 inch, 1 inch, and then you have this weird gap. Steps are off by more than the code allows, 3/8 of an inch or so, and then it's just easier and cheaper to add a few courses of cinder blocks, fill them with stone, and then you just have your little edges to fill in. So we'll go through that during pour day, show you how that's set up. But until he gets back, I am taking a break, and then I think we're gonna grab some pipe and maybe get some lunch, because it's been a long morning and I'm feeling it. So we'll catch up with you then, and should be starting to look like something. Start the cleanup process at least. All right, what's up guys? Sorry, I've been neglecting you guys a little bit since we got back from lunch, but luckily Ty was able to show up with the dump truck. He actually just left to take a load out, and I have our saw cuts here for where our drain's gonna go. So we got a 2-foot wide bucket, so we went 30 inches wide here. It's pretty thin asphalt here, so hopefully we can keep this in place, but if we have to replace this little sliver on the inside here too, it's not a big deal. We also have the concrete cleaned up, so that was what Ty just took one load out of on, and a couple scoops of dirt out of here just to keep preparing for our grade. There's actually some decent amount of water right now. You can actually see it's coming out from like underneath this block here, so lots of water going on with this upper wall here. I know there's definitely better ways to fix it, but I think it's just temporary now, and hopefully it will dry it out as best we can, at least in the meantime. But making some progress, and as soon as Ty gets back, we're going to finish grading this out. We'll get some drains in, locate those, and then we'll be about 2 feet deep on the trench once we get the fall we need. So once we daylight out, should be a couple feet down there. So catch up with you then. Well, good morning. That was ended up being a pretty long day. We're actually a week later here. I had to do some traveling for my real job, but between the rain and some delays, luckily Ty and my dad were able to get the rest of the job set up. So I think they had the drains placed and some stone in and the drains backfilled. So we're gonna go check that out today. We actually have our cold patch. So my dad picked up about 2.5 tons of cold patch so we can fix up that channel in the driveway where we had to put the new drains, and we'll get that taken care of today. We'll need about 2, maybe 3 more tons of stone from what they were saying to get our job actually graded off so we can pour, and that should be good. So have a somewhat of a quick day, I guess, relatively, probably 2 or 3 hours hopefully today. We'll get this all packed away and we'll get the gravel graded and we should be good to go. So I will see you on the job site here in a few minutes and we'll catch up to see where the guys are. Okay, well, we're back here. Looks like they did a pretty good job. So we'll start at the end here. Our pipe backfilled. That's good. So here's our exit pipe. We can trim this however we need to or whatever, as long as we have the slope. So if you remember from the last time lapse there, I think Ty and I were just digging this trench for our new down pipe here in our exit. So that was to daylight. So we have this buried again. Ty did a pretty good job backfilling that from what we had here. Looks like they got the stone installed and compacted down, so not too bad. I think we ended up having about 10 tons in here because we had to dig down probably 2.5 to 3 feet. So they have the drain set. It's level corner to corner, maybe it's just a slight slope downhill here because the pipe actually sits up in that drain about 1/2 inch anyway, so there's always going to be a little bit of water laying on the bottom. So we'll get a little bit more stone in here, try to get 5 inches of concrete, so just grade it for that. But get the asphalt that I brought and cold patch basically up to this line where it was before. So I think we'll have plenty there. And then we have our French drain that they got buried pretty good. So our French drain starts up there. We'll have a clean out, comes down in front of this garage door, and then out, ties in with the drain, and we are good to go. All right, well, we're back. We got about 3.5 tons of stone, and we're gonna start grading off. But of course, the fun part, we have to get it from down there into there. So we probably have about a ton to put in these steps. So let the labor begin. Let's see how I do on one by myself, and we'll go from there. Yeah, that tarp's pretty slippery though. That's not too bad. Half a wheelbarrow is about max though. I'm gonna take your 2x4s out. You wanna do that? All right, just let me know if you wanna dump it in. Okay, well, that's a wrap. So we are all done with setup here. So we have our stairs, we have our stone in here. Like I said before, you just fill these cinder blocks up with stone. That saves a lot on weight, concrete, keeps everything consistent. So we got the kickers in there. We have these longer boards here we'll throw in as a little bit more support. We have our asphalt tamped. So see, it kind of, you know, makes a nice line on the end with that whacker. So try to keep that pretty consistent. Then they throw a seal coat over this in a couple weeks and it'll blend in a lot nicer. Our drain, 18 feet of drain, so should have no problem catching the water. We're about 2 inches of fall from the bottom of our driveway entrance and the bottom of our asphalt. So we have almost like a trough, 2 inches low to go to that drain. And then of course we have this graded all back here. We'll throw rebar in about every 2 feet just to tie into this existing slab. And we even put a little riser back there for a clean out. So getting there, but as for setup, that is it. So we're gonna wrap this one up and I will see you guys next week for pour day. So we have about 7.5 yards coming for this or so. We're going for 5 inches thick, just since it's a driveway and garage, we're shooting for 5. So we'll catch up with you then, and thanks for watching.